me again, and welcome back to my kitchen. Hey, I came across a really good deal on some organic raw carrots the other day, and so I thought this would be a great opportunity to share with you how I dry pack carrots. Now, I've shared videos and comparisons with dry packed and traditional water packed potatoes. I've also done that with asparagus and also with green beans. And carrots is one of those things that I absolutely love to dry pack also. There's nothing wrong with a traditional water pack, but I have found that the dry pack method, and that is where you add no water inside of your jar, okay? This is not dry canning. Dry canning is sealing dry goods inside of your oven using the temperature of the oven. That's what dry canning is. This is dry packing, where you're actually using a raw vegetable, raw wet food item, but you're not putting water inside of the jar to cover that vegetable. So technical term is dry packing. But I figured that I would share with you how I go about this and how I'll compare the results. I'll do a couple of traditional water pack carrots also, along with my dry pack carrots, and I will show you the results at the end of the two comparisons. I really enjoy the dry pack carrots a lot more than traditional water pack carrots. I can't say that they're terribly much firmer, but they are a little bit firmer, and they're much more flavorful than traditional water pack carrots. Traditional water pack carrots, that water that's inside of that jar as it's processing, during the canning process, it just kind of sucks the sweetness and some of the flavor right out of the carrots, and that flavor is just lost in that juice. Now, you can go ahead and drain your traditional water packed carrots and reserve that wonderful carrot flavored fluid for use in soups if you wish to do that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with doing that. And we all like to get 100% of the time and effort that we put into our canning. And so that's a great way of using up that traditional water brine when you're canning carrots. But I just really prefer the dry pack method just because we find them a little bit more flavorful. Now, my comparison is, if you think about a vegetable sitting in water and boiling it to cook it, that would be what a traditional water pack carrot comes out like. A dry pack carrot is more like, the results are more like an oven roasted carrot, all right? So hopefully that gives you some sort of a comparison. But I'm going to get you aimed down, and I will show you what I have going on here today. And I do already have my canner pretty much loaded. I am going to be pressure canning these, but you can also hot water bath carrots, all right? You can hot water bath any food item. You just need to do it for the appropriate amount of time. But I am choosing to pressure can these today. And I just want to show you the different methods that I use for packing my carrots. Sometimes I like to have them in like long strips. These really are pretty on a plate, like next to a steak or a pork chop or something, along with a baked potato. These just really are pretty on the plate. And these you can pack actually very, very tightly. Now, when I am dry packing any vegetable, the headspace is not as important as when you traditionally water pack something, okay? Because there is no fluid in this jar. Now, there is going to be a little bit of juice just from the carrots cooking and rendering a little bit of their own juice, but you don't run the risk of that overflow issue or the siphoning issue like when you have water in a jar. So when I dry pack any of my vegetables, I get them just right up literally to the rim of the jar, just so that it's not interfering with the lid at all. But very, very super important to try to pack these jars as densely as you can, all right? Because without fluid to fill up all of the empty spaces, you want to displace as much air in your dry packed vegetable pack as you can. So get them in there really good and densely packed. Now I'm going to do, I've got a couple of coin cut ones already in my canner, but I'm going to traditionally water pack just 2 of the coin cut carrots just so that you can see the difference. That's what I'll use for my comparison at the end between the traditional water packed carrot and dry packed carrot. But coins are obviously another thing that you can do. Now I'm going to take a few of these just out of the jar. Maybe I'll tip down just a little bit more for you here. When I'm packing my carrots, I like to partially, I peel my carrots. Now, if I had homegrown carrots, believe me, guys, I would just scrub them up good, and I wouldn't even bother peeling them. But these were not my carrots. I purchased these carrots, and so I did choose to peel them. So I peeled these, and I just cut them into whatever shapes and sizes I wanted to have. But when I am packing, particularly like chunks or coin-sized pieces of carrots, I kind of like to hold my fingers in there and shake it back and forth a little bit to settle and press those carrots down into any empty open spaces that I have, all right? You really want to get these packed as densely as possible. And, you can take a little bit of time and play a little game of Tetris and slip in carrots here and there so that you're just really nice and densely packed. Actually, you know what? I think I packed this one for a dry pack jar. I've got to remember that I'm actually, whoops, look at that. Popped right out like, pop goes the weasel. Anyway, I think I packed this for a traditional I think I packed this jar thinking that I was going to dry pack it and I wasn't going to add water. And so I have carrots that I have taken out of the jar that I'm not going to put back in because when we go to add our fluid, our water, we want to have a 1-inch headspace, all right? So your carrots and your water, you want them at 1-inch headspace. So I'm just going to leave those extras out, and we've got a really nice packed jar there. The carrots are packed nice and densely to 1 inch. I'm going to do the same thing on this one because I'm going to add water to this one too, just for our comparison video at the end. There, get that in there and you can still see. All right, so we've got coin cut. I do really like the stick cut, like I said. I also do just like kind of large chunks of carrots. You can cut your carrots however you want them to be, all right? Doesn't matter, just as long as you pack that jar as densely as possible. Now I'm going to open this one up too so that you can see I don't have hardly any headspace on this at all. Just as long as nothing is pressing up and causing resistance to your canning lid, all right? You can pack them right up to the top of the jar. Now they are going to, as they cook, they soften and they shrink a little bit. And so you will have a little bit more headspace at the end of the canning process than what you do while they are raw, okay? Just simply because that's the nature of cooking vegetables. Vegetables shrink when they cook. All right, so I'm going to get these 2 jars into my canner. Now, I would like to talk to you, I know that there's a lot of people who, when they're dry packing their vegetables, they do still add salt, and some of them really prefer to add just a little bit of butter. The butter, feel free to do that if you want to have butter in there when you open your jar, like if that would help you in meal preparation to have that butter in there, that's absolutely fine to do. But putting butter into these dry packed vegetables, in the canning process, it just melts. It runs all the way down to the bottom of the jar, and then when your jar cools and seals, it just solidifies just right at the very bottom of your jar. It really doesn't do anything to coat or flavor your vegetables, in my opinion and experience, all right? I've done a lot of these dry packs throughout the last 10 years, and I've just really found that I don't feel like I need the butter in there at all. It really does no good. And the salt is the same way. When you're dry packing vegetables, you don't have water on the inside of your jar to kind of carry that salt flavor throughout your jar. And so if you put it into a dry pack, you just put that salt on top of the veggies and it just kind of either sticks at the top to just a few little pieces, or it kind of sprinkles down through, but mostly it sticks at the top. And salt, of course, in any heat canning process is optional. Okay, salt is for flavor only. Doesn't have anything to do with the safety of your canned goods. It doesn't help preserve them longer or better. So you can omit the salt without any problem at all. And so when I am dry packing, I do just omit the salt, and I choose not to do the butter either. But anyway, I'm going to get you all aimed down here again. And like I said, I'm going to do these two in a traditional water pack. Now, if, since I'm water packing, if I wanted to, I could go ahead and add salt to these because the water would carry that flavoring all the way through. But I'm just going to opt not to do that today. So we have our carrots to 1-inch headspace. They're just packed really nice and densely. And of course, even when you're adding water to a jar, you really do want your vegetables to be packed nice and densely. And then all I'm going to do is I'm just going to add water simply to that same 1-inch headspace on my carrots. Now your carrots, when they're cooking, they do render just a little bit of their own juice, all right? So don't overfill with that water, because your carrots are going to lend just a little tiny bit of their own natural juices in there also. And then wipe your rim, just like any other canning application, and place your flat and your ring. Now I'm using my superb lids, so I just tighten those just to the point of resistance on that ring, and we will get them in the canner. Now, for the process, I am going to pressure can these. Now I'm doing pints today, and I have 18 pints in here, which is a really nice load. But for pints, I follow the old Kerr canning chart, and pints for pressure canning would be 30 minutes, and quarts would be 35. Now, if you're going to hot water bath your carrots, you can hot water bath either one of those size jars, pints or quarts, for 2 hours. And no, they don't require 3, they only require 2. Not everything low acid requires 3 hours. A lot of people like to say that if it's a low acid food, it has to have 3 hours hot water bath. Well, that's not really true, guys. Cabbage is less, cabbage is less, cauliflower and broccoli is less than that. Obviously, carrots are less than that also. So our carrots are 2 hours hot water bath for either size jars. So I'm going to get my lid on. I am going to over medium heat, because I like to heat my canner slowly, and everything is just at room temperature today. My carrots are at room temperature, my canning water is at room temperature. So I'm just going to put it on medium heat, and I'm going to just heat it slowly, bring it to a vent. I will vent for 10 minutes, and then I'm going to place my weight, bring it to pressure, appropriate pressure for my altitude, and you can look up yours on a chart. And then once it reaches pressure, I am going to pressure can these for 30 minutes. And I will be back when that's done and show you the results between the traditional water pack and the dry pack. So I'll see you in just a little bit. All right, guys. So I have gotten through my canning session, and I allowed my pressure canner to come down on its own, cooling naturally. And then I just barely cracked open the lid and allowed it to cool, and then I kind of just moved it a little bit more to the side and allowed it to cool longer. And now I feel it's safe to remove my lid and remove my jars. Oop. And those are those wonderful superb lids, you guys. Like, they have an audible ping. So we're just going to start taking these out. That's one of those water-packed ones. All right, you can see, still boiling. I'm just going to empty this first layer, and then I'm going to page down and show you how I just there's another one of the water packed, okay? set those right side by side. Then I'm going to show you how I just very, very gently snug these Superb lids up. You know, I mentioned before, when I'm using Superb lids, I put them on just to the sign of first resistance, all right? If you over tighten these Superb lids, the gasket material on the Superb, there, did you hear that? That's how wonderful this is. The gasket material, well, I'm just going to be quiet so you, so you can hear what's going on. Anyway, the gasket material of the Superb lids is so thick and such good quality that they have a hard time venting, all right? When you're heat canning, the boiling and heating of your food item and juices inside of the jar, they need to push up and escape out from underneath the lid. I swear, this is hilarious. I love Superb. Anyway, so Superb's gasket material is so much thicker that they have a hard time venting out. And so I put them on very loosely, just to the first sign of resistance. I process them, and then when I remove them from the canner, I gently snug them up. And this is what I mean by gently, okay? Let's make sure that you're totally page down so you can see what I'm doing here. That one jar is just going to be completely off of your vision range. And you can hear these lids are already sealing, all right? I mean, seriously, they're already sealing. They're just popping like, I don't know, like drums in a marching band. But anyway, since I put them on loose before going into the heating and canning process, when I take them out, then I take and I just gently snug up any of those loose rings. And I don't hold the jar, okay? I don't hold the jar. I just snug it up. Anything that's loose, just very, very light touch. All right? There we go. And I'm just going to move these things over so that I have more space on my cooling surface. And you can tell that I have a very thick bath towel. That is just the best sound ever, okay? Best sound ever. Anyway, I put them on a thick bath towel. Whenever you're canning, you don't want to take these extremely hot jars out of your extremely hot canner and place them directly onto a much cooler room temperature surface. You need to kind of insulate them so that you don't experience thermal shock. Because if you take these extremely hot jars out and put them onto a cold surface, your jar is just going to go, nope, can't handle it, and it's going to bust open and you're going to lose all of your food. All right. This right here, I'm just going to take out my separating rack at this point in time so that I can get down to my second layer of carrots and get them out and snug them up just gently. Look at, beautiful. Those are the sticks. Oh, and there goes the dog. The dog's chiming in with the alarm. Anyway, there's those stick cut carrots, and look at how beautiful these things are. All right, so we're just going to empty this canner the rest of the way and snug up gently the rest of these rings. A lot of these have already popped and sealed, as most of you heard during the video. These superb lids, to me, they are just absolutely amazing. Amazing lids. There goes another one. They just have that audible pop that just tells you, okay, that sealed well, you know. So anyway, I'm going to page down. And again, I'm just going to take anything that just needs a gentle snug of the rings. I'm just going to go ahead and carefully snug them up. But I'm not holding and forcibly tightening. I'm just with my fingertips, just tightening any of those rings that are loose. All right, so everything is out of the canner. It is sealing beautifully. I'm going to allow these to cool until morning, and then tomorrow I will show you the results between the traditional water pack and the dry pack coin cut carrots. So we'll see you in the morning. All right, so good morning, everybody. It is the next day. I allowed all of my jars to cool in and seal, and so I would like to reveal the results between the traditional water pack carrots and the dry pack carrots. Now, y'all know me. I am completely honest. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Out of my 16 or 18 jars that I have here today, I did actually have one jar that did not seal. And I cannot even explain to you why that is. Maybe I missed wiping a rim off well. Maybe I didn't snug that jar up after I removed it from the canner. Remember, I explained to you in using my superb lids, I kind of put them on loose going into the canner so that they don't buckle up, so that that jar can vent. And then after I take them out of the canner and allow them to cool just a little bit, then I just very gently snug them up as I showed you. And maybe I missed snugging up that one particular jar. I don't know. But I was going to do the comparison between the coin cut dry pack and coin cut traditional water pack. But the one that didn't seal is kind of not exactly coins. They are coins, but a lot of them were like cut in half because they were larger carrots. And that's the jar that I'm going to use today for the comparison, just simply because why should I pop open a perfectly good jar that's sealed when I have one that's unsealed that I'm just not sacrificing at all. So this is the dry pack results. Now you can see in the bottom, as I said there would be, there is a little bit of juice that cooks out of the carrots. But look at how lovely they are. And listen to this. Can you hear them inside that jar? They're actually pretty firm. This is the traditional water pack. Now you can see in the traditional water pack, you can kind of see already the difference in color. The dry pack jar looks a little bit more vibrant orange colored. And the traditional water pack are a little bit blanched out. So that's our first comparison. Now I'm going to get you down here where you can see what I got going on. I'll kind of move some of these jars back so I have a little bit more area to work with. Okay. All right. So this is the dry packed one that did not seal for me. Okay. And like I said, who knows? Stuff happens. Occasionally we do have lid failures, no matter, despite all of our best, canning practices and whatever else. Sometimes lids you have a failure. There's no way of avoiding it. And out of all of these jars, to only have one seal failure, that's not bad, guys. And I have no doubt in my head or in my mind that it's because it is a dry pack jar. Okay, I have tons and tons of dry pack jars here that sealed correctly, and I've been dry packing for years and don't experience lid failures. So this is the one that I'm going to just sacrifice and open and allow you to see the result of. So here's our dry pack carrots. Okay. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pop open a traditional water pack Um, a lot of times I get questions about what my tool is that I open my jars with. This is an old vintage piece. It's called Pryolid. But I know that the For Jars company, and I think a couple other companies now, I think you can even find these on Amazon. It's not the vintage piece, Pryolid, but they are newly manufacturing these types of openers. And you guys, these are amazing. They cause absolutely no damage to your lids at all. They just work just wonderfully. This is my absolute favorite opener for my home canned goods. So let's pop open this traditional water pack one. Beautiful seal. And we'll just dump that into a bowl, juice and all. Also, and I'll let you see that. Okay, just traditional water pack. And here is our dry pack. I wish my lighting was better. I do apologize. Not much I can do. It just is what it is. All right, so you know what? I forgot to grab a fork. Hang on, I'm going to go and grab a fork. All right, so I've got my fork. Now, the traditional water pack ones are still firm enough that you can stick them with a fork. They're not falling apart. They're not mushy. I'm going to take one with my finger here, and we'll see how it breaks apart. Well, when you try to break it apart, it is a little bit mushy, and you can see, look at the water I can squeeze out of it. It's just totally waterlogged, guys. Totally waterlogged, but still delicious and wonderful. There's absolutely nothing wrong with traditional water packed carrots. I've canned them this way my whole life until I discovered the dry pack method, and now the dry pack is just more, I guess, what I prefer. I really love dry packed veggies. Not all veggies work well for dry pack, but any of your root vegetables, your beets, your potatoes, your carrots, all of those work really, really well for dry pack. And there's also some green veggies, like green beans, work really well for dry pack. But corn does not. Corn has too much sugar in it, and it really needs water inside of the jar. Otherwise, it tends to kind of scorch and burn in the canning process. So water is really important with corn. Other things that I don't feel do well, dry packed, that means not covered with water inside of your jar. Cabbage is not a really good candidate. What's another one that I can think of? Broccoli is not a good candidate. So there are certain things, peas, green peas, do not do well dry canned. They just kind of shrivel up, and it's just not a very good final product. So peas, I do suggest adding water to also. But anyway, so here is our dry packed carrots, and I can tell you right now, stabbing that carrot, I had to push a little bit harder. This is definitely firmer. Definitely not falling apart. And we will pick one up and see if we can bust it apart. And there we go. Absolutely no problem at all. And it's very firm. Let's see if we can squish some juice out of here. Maybe one or two little drops, and that, of course, is just the natural carrot juice because we didn't add any additional water. So there's the difference there. Flavor, I really love the dry pack flavor a lot more than the traditional water pack. The water pack, like I said, it gets a little waterlogged, and that water inside of the jar kind of sucks some of the flavor of the carrots out, where all of the good flavor of the carrots remain in the dry pack. And so they are a little bit better color, in my opinion, the dry pack. They're a little bit better flavored, in my opinion. And they are a little bit firmer, okay? So my vote personally is for the dry pack, but there's nothing wrong with either of these canning methods. You just got to make your own choice for your own family. But that is the comparison that I have for you as far as carrots is concerned. So, I hope that you found this informational, and it gives you a little bit of perspective of maybe what you would like to try, or maybe it just gives you the idea that no, you're going to stay with your traditional water packed ones, and that's absolutely fine too. All I'm doing is I'm presenting these things. Sadie, sorry. She sees the guys working outside, so she's got to bark at them. But anyway, so all I'm doing is I am presenting these finished results so that you can see with your own eyes and make your own decision of which method you would like to try. I am a huge, huge fan of dry packing certain vegetables, and carrots are one of those things that I just consistently dry pack. Did I say dry can? I hope I didn't, because it's not dry canning, it's dry packing. But I'm a huge fan of dry packing certain vegetables. Carrots is one of those things that I just absolutely adore, dry packed. So I hope you found some interesting information. Thank you, as always, for spending your time with me again today. God bless you all, and happy canning, everybody.